Hi, welcome to Farnet Pi videos. This is DC here. This is part 4 on Atmel AT88SC102 secure memory card. In the last video I showed you all the read and write operations you can do in security mode 1. In this video I'm going to show you how to use the memory card in security mode 2. We're going to discuss about the ATR string of this memory card, and we're going to discuss the block erase command, and we're going to see how to finalize the personalization. Now after that we're going to see how to blow the issuer fuse. So once the issuer fuse is blown, from this point on the card will be operating in security mode 2. So besides the read and write operations on various zones, we are going to focus mainly on how the application zone 1 behaves and its erase key, and application zone 2 erase key, and also application zone 2 the erase counter. The erase counter is applicable only to application zone 2 and not to the zone 1. Finally we are going to see how to make the card completely read only, so that no further no further write operation or the update operation, erase operation can happen. You can see here I've connected my ACR38U reader writer, and this is the same secure memory card I've been using in the last video also. Now if you click this get ATR, the WinScard library function called scard state function. Now you know that this is the Windows DLL function that returns the ATR of the card. So you can see here that ATR is F0, F0, 1 and 1, 2. And you have to keep in mind the ATR of this memory card depends on the data that is in the card itself. If you compare this ATR, you can see that the first 2 bytes are coming from, okay, look at that. I did a small mistake here. I did not select the card. I just clicked this read entire card command, and I got some random data. So it's good to know that if you're using ACR38U, you have to first send this command called select card. After that you have to read the memory or entire card. Now if you look at this, compare this ATR with the data that is present in the memory card. The first 2 bytes F0, F0 is coming from the fabrication zone, and the next 2 bytes 1, 2 is coming from the first 2 bytes of the issuer zone. Now we are going to prove that I'm going to change the first 2 bytes. So to do that I have to first authenticate or first verify the secure code. So we know the secure code is ABCD from the last video. To verify, if you read this entire tag again and go to the issuer zone, I'm going to change this to say 3034. Now again the write may not work, so I'm going to first erase the first word, erase. If you look at that, the first 2 bytes are erased. Now I'm going to write the first 2 bytes as 3031. Okay, so I'm going to try this card again and get the ATR. This time we get a different ATR. So what you have to keep in mind here is you cannot depend on the ATR. So like if you compare this ATR with the contactless card, in the contactless card like a MeFair Ultralight or a Desfire, the ATR is always fixed. So in contactless card you can use an ATR to find out what kind of card is that, whereas in this the Atmel SC series I don't think you can apply the same method to differentiate between two cards. So I would like to discuss, before we blow the issuer fuse, I would like to discuss this command called the block write and erase command. If you read this slowly, you'll come to know that this is the quickest way of clearing or resetting the card. It says the block write or erase command works only in the security level 1. It doesn't work in security level 2. So we have a last chance to play with this command, because in this video we are going to blow the fuse and we will have the card in security level 2. What it says is, if you try to write to any address from 1440 to 1445, take any address here, if you do a write operation, the entire memory get set to 0. If you do the erase operation, the entire memory will get set to 1. But it's not all the zones. The documentation says except the fabrication zone. We know fabrication zone cannot be modified at all. The memory test zone, it's not affected by this command, and also the manufacturer zone is not affected by this command. Everything else okay, including a password counter. So you have to be very careful with this command though. Now I'm going to try that. Now first of all, you have to be in the security level 1. To do that, we have to first verify. I'm going to verify and read all. You can see that we are able to read everything. If you go to somewhere in the last tab, so I'm going to show you two different operations. So it doesn't matter what you what value you write, just write something to just hit this write command. This is just a write command to the address, okay, the block address 1440 to this. And if you refresh, if you read this entire memory, you can see that everything, including the issuer zone, the security code, the security counter as well, and the code protect zone, application zone, the erase key, and the zone 2, zone erase, everything except these are set to 0. You have to be very careful now. If you remove this card from the reader, okay, you have to keep in mind the password is now 00, not ABCD. Likewise, if you try to erase anything from, if you go to here, if you send any erase command, I'm going to send an erase command. So all these write and erase operation, they always starts from the byte address, the starting byte address. So to keep that in mind. At present, the software doesn't let you choose any address in between the addresses. Now we just did the erase. If you refresh, if you reread this entire memory, look at that. All these memory zones are now reset to ones. So literally now we lost all our data, but this block write or erase command is most likely used during the personalization. So it's all used by the software. So probably before you personalize, you want to reset the tag to the entire tag to 1 or reset to 0. So you can use this block erase or block write. Now I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to put back my original values. I'm going to change the security code to ABCD. Probably now I can do this ABCD now, and all other things, and I can do that later. ABCD. So right now I've got the password back. So I'm going to get some meaningful data for all of the zones. Then we are ready to blow this issuer fuse. Okay, now I've got some data in all the zones. Now we're ready to blow the fuse. And before we do that, I would like to mention something about the one more fuse called EC2 enable fuse. And I'm not going to blow this fuse. So what this fuse does is, when the memory card is in security mode 2, we can limit the number of times the application zone 2 can be erased. Now if this fuse is not blown, then the number of times you can erase is limited to 128 times. So if this fuse is blown, then you can erase this application zone to unlimited times. Now I'm going to keep this in unblown so that we can see how the application zone to erase counter works. So that's the only thing you're going to miss. So we have seen in the last video, the blow fuse command does not work with I can't say it does not work, but didn't work with the AT88SC102 devices I have got. Now I'm going to try again, this time using trying to blow the issuer fuse. Now if you look at the command, it just says send the command that blows. Now hit this button, blow, and there is a small warning generated by the software. Let's assume that the issuer fuse is really blown. Then our card should work based on this table, which is the table for security mode 2. Just look at this this row for the IZ, the issuer zone. It says whatever is the status of the password verification, it's all in XXX over here. You can only read the IZ, you cannot erase or write it. So I'm going to try to modify the IZ zone. If the modification fails, then I'm sure the issuer fuse is blown. If I'm able to modify, then we are sure that the blow did not work with this reader writer. So I've just reinserted the memory card. Select read all. So password verify, ABCD, verify, verification successful. So read everything. I'm going to the issuer zone. I will try to erase this. Erase, and I'm going to click this R button, which sends a command to read the data from the memory card. Now, so because we lost the original data, the erase is working now, so we are sure the blow did not work. I'm going to put the data back what we had before. It was 1 and write. Okay. Now next what you have to do is I'm going to insert the ACR1281U reader writer, and we're going to blow the issuer fuse now. So I've connected the other reader. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So before you blow the fuse, you have to first verify the passcode. Now read, go to the fuse, hit blow the fuse, yes, and try. I'm going to reinsert the tag. So authenticate, verify, it's okay. Now go to IZ. I'm going to erase. Now what you see here, it's because of the software. Whatever, as soon as I click the erase button, the software is trying to update the grid. However, if I'm going to hit the read, which sends a read memory memory command to the reader and get this actual data stored in the card, and you can see that we are not able to successfully erase the issuer zone. So now we're 100% sure the issuer zone or the issuer fuse is blown. Now I don't need this reader anymore now, so I'm going to swap it, and then we'll continue and we'll go through the table and see all the operations you can do with the security mode 2. So now we have the memory card set to security mode 2. The next thing you have to know is understand this table. The memory access rules after personalization, the security mode 2. In fact, if you have understood all my previous videos, this table will be easy for us to understand. So I'm going to go through this table row by row. The first thing is there any changes to the fabrication zone? We know that whether you are in security mode 1 or 2, the fabrication zone is always read only. So if you can see here, the read is only set to yes. So this we have done. The issuer zone is next. Now it doesn't matter whether you verified the security code or P1, R1, P2, R2, E1, E2. Now so far I have not discussed anything about P1, R1 and P2, R2 and so on. I'm going to do that in this video. Now while we are in security mode 2, the only access you have for IZ zone is read, just the read only. So there's nothing more to discuss about that. You cannot modify, you can just read. In fact, the read was always possible in both security mode 1 and 2. So the only difference in mode 2 is you cannot modify this any further. So even with the password or security code verification, no changes can be done. So you got erase is no, write is no. The security code, this is the password or the code itself. Can you modify or can you change the passcode in security mode 2? If you look at this line here, it says you can erase it and you can write as well. But to do this, if you go on the left side, it says you must have the security code verified in order to erase and write. So what we understood here is it is still possible to modify the security code or erase. To be honest, okay, whenever we try to modify the security code, we'll always end up doing the erase. So it is possible to still change the security code in mode 2. So we have done with SC. The security code attempt counter, this is something we don't have to worry much about that, because this counts number of wrong attempts, and if you are wrong for more than 4 times, the card gets automatically locked. It's still possible to, as you can see here, you can still read the count anytime you can, because this is the counter. So it is possible to read this anytime. Doesn't matter whether it's verified, the code verified or not, I can still read. And you can modify after this verification of security code. You can still modify the counter. Now why would we modify the counter? This is sometimes in some applications we would like to limit the number of wrong password attempt a user can do. So we know that by default this memory card allows us to do 4 wrong attempts. So assume that we don't want the user to use all these 4 wrong attempts. We can reduce it to say just 2. So we can set the values to 0, 0, 1, 1. So the first 0 indicates the first 2 attempts have been done already. So we have done that, we have done this and that. The next is the CPZ. It's the, here what it says is you can always read, and in order to modify you must have the code verified. So you can erase it or you can modify after the security code is verified. Next is about the application zone 1. Now it says, is it possible to read? If you look at this column, and here if you look at the first 2 entries, SV0 means the security code is not verified. Now there is an entry here that says it is possible to read even without the code verified. So it's a second entry here. We just have to See why it is possible. It is possible because of the value in R1. So R1 is, if you scroll down, what it means is, if you scroll down here, R1 means the second bit of the application zone 1. It's a bit address, the value of the bit in address 177. So if that bit is 1, it is possible for anybody to read even without the security code. Now I'm going to show this later on. Probably that will be next video, because we have to modify the screen to give a nice an easy demonstration of this table. And what about the write? Now if you look at the write operations here, the last two entries is for the write. Now if you look at these rows here, it says in order to write I must have the security code verified, plus I also must have the P1 bit set to 1. If you scroll down here, the P1 is the first bit of the application zone 1. That is, if you remember when we started, when we looked at writing the value to application zone 1, so I had the first first byte set to zeros, and also mentioned that, so I got this 0 for some reason which I'm going to explain in the future videos, and this is what it is all about. So something in byte 1 decides whether the application zone 1 is writable or not, and that is the P1. Probably you will understand when I demonstrate this in my next video. So it is in order to write to application zone 1, you must have the security code verified, plus you also must have the bit P1 set to 1. Only then you can write. And these are only things, that's what required to write it. What about the arrays operation? So the arrays is possible only in two cases here, this and that. You can simplify both these cases into just you can ignore this thing in order to erase. So in order to erase, you must have the password or the security code verified, followed by the erase key verified as well. Now you have seen in the last video when we started personalizing, there is a zone called erase zone 1 key, and you have to verify that, and that was a 6-byte value. So in order to erase the application zone 1, you must have the security code verified as well as the erase key for zone 1 verified. So if you scroll down further, what about the erase zone 1 key itself? You can't do anything. It's neither readable, writable, erasable, so that is a frozen thing. Next, application zone 2. Now it is readable in only one scenario without any password verification. That is the second entry. It says when the bit P2, just like we have got P1 R1 for application zone 1, we also have P2 R2 for application zone 2, and E1 here corresponds to a flag that is set when the erase key for application 1 is verified. E2 is a flag that is set to 1 when the erase key of application zone 2 is verified. So P2 is the first bit of application zone data, and R2 is the second bit of the application zone data. So now once you understand the P1 R1 and E1, it's the same concept for P2 R2 and E2 as well. So what the table says here is, in order to write to application zone 2, that's these two entries, you must have the security code verified as well as the bit P2 should be set to 1. And in order to erase, we are going to so in order to erase, you have to look at this and this row. So here, in order to erase, you must have the security code verified in both the scenarios, and you also must have the erase2 verify code, sorry, erase2 code verified. So it doesn't matter now whether the P2 is set or not. It doesn't matter, because these two, you can also have 0 or 1. Okay, this becomes like a don't care. And the only special thing about application zone 2 is in security mode 2, the number of times you can erase is controlled by the EC2N fuse, which are not blown. So since this EC2N fuse is not blown, you're going to see that you can erase a maximum of 128 times. Okay, so all these things, what we discussed was a theory. Probably in the next video I'm going to show you, and I'm sure you'll be clear with this table. Thanks for watching.